All right, I'm going to call the March 10th Planning Commission meeting to order. Brian, can we have a roll call?
Certainly. Good evening. Commissioner Cioni,
Here.
Commissioner Bridge,
Present.
Commissioner Cadillo,
Present.
and our new Commissioner Braxton.
Present.
Thank you.
Great, so welcome, Commissioner Braxton, to the Planning Commission. It's a pleasure to have you. We're going to start with the oral communication. Again, I would like to remind the public that we have a hotline. If you want to call in, it's 805-875-8201. Again, 805-875-8201. So we're going to start with the oral communications. These are items that are not on the agenda. If someone is on the line wishing to speak about something that's on the agenda, that's not on the agenda, that is the time to do that. Do we have someone, Brian?
Okay, the call was not general comments, it was for a specific item. In this case, it was for the item 1, the Lewis parcel map.
Okay.
So he or she will wait.
All right, so since there's no one on the line and obviously no one here to stand up, we'll close oral communication and open the consent calendar. I believe there's something on the consent calendar, Brian?
That is correct. The general plan annual report is on the consent calendar. We would like to take it off or pull it just so I could add some additional information in a supplemental memo that I gave to the commission tonight. So I think you technically, Chair, with the consent with the members, pull that item just for a quick.
All right, are we all agreeing that it's okay to do that? All right, so we consent to do that. Thank you. So I guess then we move to the first public hearing item, which
Well,
is...
sorry, we can talk about it right now and then take a vote on it.
Oh,
Yeah, sorry. The intent
sorry,
was just briefly to discuss the memo that was given to the
okay,
commission.
sorry. Did not understand that. Thank
Oh,
you.
that's okay. I probably could have been clearer. So the memo that I gave to you, there's been some new state laws, and sorry for this not being brought up earlier. We actually, these items, technically, there's kind of two components that we send out. Looks like we have a call. But it's basically three items. It's consultation with the Native American tribes. It's density bonuses. And it's also if the city owns property, we need to report if we sell that property, we lease it, or dispose of it. And so this memo just summarizes those topics, which again, some of these topics are covered in a different report that we do to HCD. But nonetheless, it's just a quick summary of those three topics just to cover all of our legal parameters. So if you have questions regarding those three topics, We consult with Native American tribes when we do environmental documents. We didn't have any density bonuses that the commission considered. You probably remember from 2019 we did, but not for 2020. It was the Cypress Court Housing Project. And then lastly, the city did not sell, lease, or dispose of properties in 2020, but I think in 2021 we will, but we'll see. That concludes the additional supplemental memo.
And just to add one thing, the recommendation is that these 3 items in the page 2 of the supplement would be added to the general plan annual report, which was in your packet. So if you'd like to approve, then the motion would be to approve, including the addition of this supplemental information.
All right, if someone wants to move for approval with inclusion of these,
I'll move for approval, including the amendment.
okay, any second?
I will second that.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, so we approved the receipt or the general plan annual report with the addition of these addendums for the planning commission memo. Okay, so now we move to the public hearing items. Number 1 is the Lewis parcel map, LOM 628, which is a request from Rob Lewis for planning commission consideration to subdivide an approximately 33-acre parcel of land into 2 parcels. Brian, do we have a staff report?
Yeah, go ahead and do the staff report. Sounds like this person who's calling in, they'll wait and following the staff report or take public comment. So yeah, as explained, it is a parcel map, a vesting parcel map, LOM 628. I'm not going to say the whole description since you've done a pretty good job there of what the proposed map is, but we'll go ahead and move forward to a couple slides. This is the project location on the east side of town, right as you come in off of Ocean or 246. Let's see if my little thing works here. So this map would basically create this lot and this lot. I apologize, this is a little bit difficult to understand because there's an old highway right-of-way that's owned by Caltrans, which is in this area. This line is a little bit not correct, but you'll see on the next map. So, but that shows the general area. Go ahead and show you, whoops. This is the actual map that's before you this evening. There's two parcels, ultimately become 2 lots, one at 3.18 acres. Development is proposed in the future under a separate submittal, so they would have to submit a development plan. And then parcel 2 is 29.73 acres. That previous slide and on here, there's an area actually right here that is actually old Caltrans right-of-way. And that's considered a remainder. So it's this lot and then this big piece here. This is zoned RA, residential agriculture, and this is actually zoned industrial. But that vesting parcel map will create those 2 lots. The environmental review for this particular item, it was considered exempt under 15315 minor land divisions of the CEQA guidelines. And that concludes our staff presentation, but our recommendation is to adopt resolution 942-21 approving LOM 628 or provide other direction to staff. That concludes my presentation.
Thanks, Brian. And before we move to public comment, any questions from the commissioners on this? No. Okay, so we open it up for public comments. If anyone wishes to speak, again, let me remind you, and if anyone wishes to speak about this item specifically, the number is 805-875-8201. I believe there is someone on the line.
Mr. Marshall? Hi, you're on with the Planning Commission?
All right, thank you.
Is this the applicant?
Yes, this is David Marshall. He is with Omni Design, the people who created the map.
Okay, Mr. Marshall, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, good evening, Commissioners. This is David Marshall with Omni Design Group. I am the land surveyor and engineer for this project, and we have reviewed the conditions of approval. Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm sorry, I have an echo here.
We can't hear you, though.
Yeah, we can hear you very
Sorry
well.
about that. I have a delayed echo here. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes.
Hello?
I think that needs to be on. Yeah. Can you hear us now?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
No problem.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is David Marshall, Marchell, and I'm with Omni Design Group. I'm a licensed land surveyor and a professional engineer that is working on this project. And we have reviewed all the conditions of approval. The only one that we had some questions on were EN9. And this one pertains to the improvement plans and the approval of improvement plans for the project prior to the recordation of a parcel map. And we just wanted to make clear that since Caltrans is involved here, there will also be encroachment permits and various permits through Caltrans. And I've exchanged emails and conversation with Lori Spear, the city engineer, this afternoon, just to clarify this item, and in that we will prepare design drawings that will show that the two parcels will be able to be serviced with a sewer connection on 12th Street. And we wanted to just make sure that everyone understood that they're not going to be the full Caltrans approved improvement plans, that Lori just wanted to see enough design elements and construction elements in these plans so that we could meet this condition and allow us to place the note on the final map as well. So with that said, that was the only comment that I had. And if you have any questions for me, I'll take those now.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions? Commissioner Bridge has a question.
I just have a question of staff. Are you aware of that change that he's just indicated he was doing with the cities?
Well, I was going to actually ask Mr. Marshall a question. I don't actually think that he's requesting a change or an amendment to the condition, but just a clarification. Is that true, Mr. Marshall, that it's just a clarification?
Yeah, exactly. That's just a clarification that it's not full-on approved public improvement plans that will also be approved by Caltrans. That will come later prior to granting approval for the development of the properties. Lori just wanted to make sure that the properties could be serviced by a public sewer line. So we will provide design drawings that will show that. It's just not going to be the plans that are fully approved through Caltrans.
Okay, I think the condition can remain, like I said, it's a clarification, but it can be a little tricky when a development comes in. Obviously, then you're going to start seeing those improvements be installed, but not right away with the map. Okay, thank you, Mr. Marshall.
Right. You're welcome.
I'll just note briefly that the condition doesn't say anything about requiring Caltrans approval, and he seems to say that they're not going to be approved by Caltrans, but that seems to be consistent with the condition because the condition doesn't say it has to be approved by Caltrans.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to agree with that. Any further questions for Mr. Marshall? Not at this point. Okay, thank you, Mr. Marshall. Is there anyone else on the line to speak about this?
Nobody else on the line.
Okay, so I guess I'll close public comments on this topic. Any questions or issues from the commissioners about this? All right, someone
I
wants
move
to?
we approve it.
Okay, you get a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Braxton seconds it, so all in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion passes 4-0. So the LOM S28 for the subdivision of Lewis parcel map is approved. Thank you very much. We're going to close this item and move to item number 2, deletion of the Economic Development Committee from the 2030 General Plan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Deletion of the Economic Development Committee from the 2030 General Plan. And Brian, please give us the staff report.
Yeah, just one moment as we get those slides on the screen.
Sure.
Okay, yeah, the next item, item 2, is the deletion of the Economic Development Committee from the 2030 General Plan. As directed by the City Council, all references to the Economic Development Committee from the 2030 General Plan should be deleted, but of course, that needs to be considered by the Planning Commission first before it comes back to the council. So just to give a little background, on September 15th, 2020, the council adopted resolution 636120. Now, essentially what that did is there's a handbook. And in the handbook for commissions, committees, and boards handbook, they deleted the Economic Development Committee. Now, the Economic Development Committee hasn't met in about a year. After talking to some of our staff, that's mainly due to COVID. But there has been some change in direction from the council, and they felt like the local chamber can basically carry out the mission of the Economic Development Committee. And essentially, the only thing the commission is being asked to do is, if we delete that from our general plan, are we going to have consistency amongst the general plan and the zoning code? So we went ahead and looked at those sections in the 2030 general plan, and we found that the Economic Development Committee is located, of course, in the economic development element and also a reference in the land use element. So these are essentially the sections. I'm not going to read all of those, but because those are in your staff report, but there's a policy 3.6, there's an implementation measure 11, and there's an implementation measure 14. Again, the exact wording is in your packet, your staff report. But essentially what staff did is we looked at those and we looked at what the intent of the economic development element was, and it seems very clear that the goals, the vision, et cetera, that are laid out in the general plan and even the land use element, that those can still be pursued, and but not necessarily need a committee to do that. Now, there are committees that may be required, but this is not required by state law. And that is one of the points on this slide, is it's not required by law. So there's no references either to the zoning code, so we don't have to make any changes to the zoning code in that sense. Other than that, we did the environmental review. We consider this exempt under section 15061B3 of the CEQA guidelines. And in conclusion, staff recommends that you adopt resolution 94321, essentially recommending to the city council to approve the amendments to the 2030 general plan, deleting all references to the Economic Development Committee, or provide other direction if you see need be. That concludes our presentation.
Thanks, Brian. Commissioner Braxton, you have your light on. Do you have a question?
Yes, just a quick clarification for my own understanding. The direction of the City Council is to strike all references to the Economic Development Committee, as you previously stated. Does that also, that doesn't mean to say that at a point certain in the future or uncertain in the future, the City Council could direct otherwise, either by reestablishing an Economic Development Committee or creating a special purpose committee for any economic development activity. So there really isn't any finality to this over the longer term. I know that there's a concern that was submitted. I don't know that it's in the record at this point, but, you know, I would, as being a former member of that Economic Development Committee, the question I have is just coming from that direction, is that this is not a forever thing. It could be reestablished at some point in the future.
Commissioner Braxton, that is a very good point, and they absolutely could bring it back, or like you said, it might be a different type of committee, maybe with a different format or structure. And quite honestly, when this was considered last year by the city council, the makeup of the city council was a little different. So this may go to the city, let's say the recommendation is to delete it, and then it goes to city council. They might say, oh, no, we'd like to keep it. Maybe there's a majority to keep it, but I don't see it going in that direction. Or let's say something changes with the chamber. Maybe the city's not happy with how the chamber is helping with economic development, then we might create our own different committee or group of people that can help with economic development. So, and Commissioner Braxton, you weren't here at this time, but we had an economic development director, actually, who served also as an assistant city manager. She left a couple years ago, and that position turned into our community development director. So it doesn't have that economic development hat, so to speak. So we'll just see how it goes, but it could come back.
Thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Bridges, a question?
Yeah, I have a couple. I'm just trying to make sure I understand this correctly. The economic development element will continue to exist, and this is simply a policy under that economic development.
Correct. And just to clarify, sorry to interrupt, but the letter that was submitted, former Commissioner Fink thought that we were deleting the entire element, and I said, we're not deleting the element, just the committee. So just, sorry to interrupt, but I wanted to, since you brought up the comment letter, and then he understood that.
And has this verbiage actually been seen by the city council, and they've asked us to review it, or is this your interpretation of what direction you received from the council to bring to it? Trying to understand if they've seen these words, or is this kind of our job to massage these words?
So I've been working with both city attorneys, Brian Wright Bushman and Jeff Malavi, and basically the city attorney at that meeting said that we would have to delete references, and he even mentioned, I think, that there was only a couple. So at that meeting, that was what was said and mentioned to the council at that meeting, that it would need to go back to the commission with the recommendation. So it was our job to kind of dig in, so to speak, and Sharon helped as well to kind of go through the plans and, you know, kind of see if there's anything we're missing in the zoning code, general plan, and pick out that exact verbiage. No, they didn't discuss the exact verbiage.
Okay, so then I'm kind of leading to make sure my logic holds here. This policy, while it was implemented by the Economic Development Committee, the meat of it was to update an annual strategic plan for economic growth. And somewhere in here, I thought it talked about the chamber. It's the next one down. The implementation of this would be by the chamber and the Economic Development Committee. So are we losing a strategic plan that is of value for looking forward? I mean, most places I've worked, you always did an annual strategic plan for your growth.
I'm glad you asked that question. I asked the same question to our community development director, and I was given the direction that the strategic plan hasn't been done in a while. It sounds like the strategic plan will take on a different form, and I don't know if that's through the work that the chamber does, but I almost kept that in, and then talking internally with staff, who our community development director meets with the city manager, was to strike all of it. So I have a feeling that might come up at the city council meeting as well, because we have city council members that are very much proponents of economic development, and I'm not saying staff isn't. We're taking the direction from the city council. So as far as the strategic plan, I've been advised to take that out. I guess that's all I have to say about that.
I personally think since we've got the chamber under contract, that they should produce a plan. Otherwise, it's just going to be, I shouldn't say that. I haven't read the contract, so that might not be fair, but that was the purpose of this, and the implementation was the Economic Development Committee, but it just seems to me it would be a good idea to do a strategic plan at least once a year to say how we're going to grow Lompoc. So that would be my only comment.
Yeah, and I agree, but again, before we discuss, let's see, open it up for public comment and see if there's anyone that wants to talk about this topic. Again, the number is 805-875-8201. Is there anyone on the line?
Nobody on the line at this moment.
Okay, so I'm going to close public comment, and yeah, let's have that discussion. So Commissioner Bridge is proposing that, again, since we're eliminating the Economic Development Committee, which was one of the entities that was supposed to create this strategic plan, should then be the other element, the other entity, which is the chamber, that is now charged with the task of developing this plan. What are your thoughts, commissioners?
I'm just going to step in real quick and just note the agenda item isn't so much to discuss how an economic plan should be implemented by the city. It's more just whether these specific changes should be made to the general plan. So it's not to say it can't be discussed at all, but it should be discussed in the purview of what changes should be made to the general plan.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Just as a clarification.
Yeah. I just wanted to know what, kind of what is the feel for this. I do also worry that we're losing focus on planning, strategically planning for Lompoc economic development. So the point raised by Commissioner Bridge, I think, is important, and I just wanted to have a general feel of what the other commissioners think. Should there be a commitment, if not a committee, to build this plan? Then we can, discuss the changes to the. So, Commissioner Braxton.
I think I hear you loud and clear, Chairman. It would appear to me, again, I'm the new kid on the block here, but as this item is agendized, as directed by the City Council, and I quote, "the deletion of all references to the Economic Development Committee." I'm asking staff and council, is this just basically a fait accompli? Is this done? And we're just kind of playing tennis right now with City Council as far as getting this language out of the document, or help me understand where this kind of is in the process. So in other words, it seems to me when I say playing tennis, council has given a directive to eliminate the language regarding Economic Development Committee. That committee has essentially been dissolved at this point. Now, in order for that, all the i's to be dotted and the t's to be crossed, in order for that language to be stricken from the general plan, that we need to provide our recommendation back to the council to strike that language. So again, you can see the ball flying over the net a couple of times there. Am I understanding this process correctly?
Yeah, I think the latter is true. And it's really about consistency. If you have a handbook and you have a general plan that says you need to have a committee, but there's been the committee's been deleted from our handbook, then in order to create that consistency, we do need to remove it from our general plan as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's a good assessment, the latter part of your analysis.
Commissioner Cadillo?
You mentioned that this was a directive from the council on September 15th, being that the makeup of the council is drastically different. Would it be possible to get a directive from the current council on this matter?
That's a good question. I think when we bring it back to the council, we will get a yay or nay at that time. I have been in touch with our city attorney, and it's still needing to be brought back. We would have brought it back a little sooner, but we are very short-staffed, and we have a lot of projects we're working on right now. So, you know, and ideally, we could have brought it back a little sooner, but I would just think that would be decided when we bring it back. I was planning on bringing this back next month to the council.
I'll weigh in on that a bit. This doesn't in any way bind the council, so what would happen tonight is if the commission were to approve this, it will go to the city council. The council can completely reject the commission's recommendation. That's all it is. It's a recommendation. The commission has sort of subject matter expertise over the general plan, so the commission is always asked to make recommendations as a first step when the council is going to consider a change to the general plan, but they're free to reject the commission's recommendation if the council's position is changed on this.
Commissioner Bridge?
I'm just worried we're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. It would be very easy to change the verbiage. For example, the implementation measure 11. You could just take out the words "and the Economic Development Committee," and that would meet what I understood the intent at the council was, which was to eliminate the Economic Development Committee because we've done away with that committee. So the implementation measure is very simple. You're taking out 4 or 5 words. And then if you take out the first and second line, essentially, and put the Chamber of Commerce in there, you have your strategic plan still. So I listened to the council meeting, and my understanding was the intent was to eliminate the Economic Development Committee, which, whether I agree with it or disagree with it, that was the intent I heard. But I never remember hearing do away with the economic development strategy, the annual report, or any report. And I would hope that the chamber, since they've been given this new task, would pick that up. So I'm just reticent to approve this language as written.
Commissioner Braxton?
To Commissioner Bridges' concern, and I share that same concern. However, as a matter of practicality, this language can change whenever. Let me back up. The addition, in this case, subtraction of an economic development committee from the plan can be added back as easily as it's taken away. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so. I mean, the council would have to, direct staff to put it back in the general plan, but it definitely could. And, as a suggestion, I mean, maybe you make a recommendation, in a certain way, but if you also, as part of my presentation to the city council, want me to express, I mean, I am here to convey any message that you would like to give to the city council. For example, your concern or your curiosity of how a strategic plan will be done in the future. If it's eliminated here and crossed out, then I can certainly put that in the staff report and make it part of my presentation and be the kind of the mouthpiece for you at that meeting and see how that goes.
Commissioner Bridge?
Commissioner Braxton, I think there's no question that the city council at any point in time could create a committee. And so the committee is not the issue to me. we are being asked to change the general plan, and the general plan is, from my understanding, an extremely important document. It's what
It's the
rules the city,
Constitution.
to use their words.
It's the Constitution.
I thought that was an interesting choice of words myself, but, because there's no Supreme Court that I'm aware of. But it's more that this verbiage has gone beyond what I believe the city council directed. That's my concern. And it's very easy for documents to take a life of their own, get pushed forward, and then 6 months from now, it comes back and now we're in a big cycle. So I respect your opinion. I'm not disparaging in any way. I just think
No,
this has gone beyond what the council asked for.
I agree.
I think we are in agreement as to what the intent should be. I want to be clear about that. Economic development is the future of this city. And I do agree that whomever the task is laid upon, who's responsible for the economic development activity, whether it be the chamber or a future economic development committee, I do agree with you that the language should be such that it doesn't create the impression that the responsibility of the city for economic development is abdicated to another party without that party being in contract with the city, as well as having deliverables and goals and objectives. With that, in Measure 11, I do agree that maybe there is some editing that could be done such that, it doesn't create that overall impression that especially when it comes to this part of it, that there is an abdication of that responsibility. It has to be, as part of the general plan, economic development is the keystone. So yeah, I mean, again, we're not in disagreement from that perspective, and I do hear what you're saying. So I in my way of thinking, should be, the document should be sufficiently changed only to reflect what the intent of the council was, and that was to dissolve the Economic Development Committee, but not the economic development element of the plan itself.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that it sounds like, it looks like these changes not only do away with the Economic Development Committee, but it looks like they do away with the strategic plan. And I don't think, I agree, I don't think that was necessarily the intent of the city council, unless in the next meeting they prove us wrong. But I think we should try to convey the message that we think that the strategic plan should still be implemented, should still be created, probably by the Chamber of Commerce. I don't know if, again, we don't know the contract, but someone should create the strategic plan if it's not the Economic Development Committee, and it should still be developed. So the policy talks about creating and updating the strategic plan. That should still be done, not by the Economic Development Committee, but by someone else. The implementation measure talks about developing the economic development strategy, and that should still be done. And in the land use element, there's a reference to periodic reports. Again, there should still be periodic reports by someone, not the Economic Development Committee, but someone. So if the scope of this meeting is to try to change, to try to come up with the right verbiage to do that, I guess we could try to work it out. Or if you just want to convey this message in a way in your presentation and see what the city council thinks about it, that's fine too. But I agree with Commissioner Bridge. We're throwing out more than just a committee here, I think, with these edits. Unless the strategic plan and its implementation are mentioned elsewhere in the general plan, I don't have it all committed to memory. So are there any other references to this in the plan?
That's a good question, Commissioner Choney. I don't know offhand because I didn't do a exhaustive search for the strategic plan. I think Brian White Bushman wanted to add a couple things.
If you'd like us to take a quick recess, I can do a quick search of the plan of the general plan online and see if there's any other references to it. If you'd like to do that, we could do that quickly. The other thing is, it's up to you, but and again, I'm just presenting you with options. Something could be communicated to the effect of what you just said by Mr. Halverson at the meeting, but you're also welcome to amend the strikeouts to be more judicious about exactly what language is taken out, if you would like, and I can help make suggestions to that effect if you'd like.
I think, in my opinion, the easiest thing to do would be to keep the verbiage on all three, replace Economic Development Committee, actually, for the first paragraph, policy 3.6, we would strike out the first sentence, the city shall appoint an economic development committee whose focus is to improve the Lompoc economy. So just that. Then replace the economic development committee with the Chamber of Commerce shall create and update annually a strategic plan, etc. On implementation measure 11, we just strike out and the economic development committee. And on the land use element, we replace the Economic Development Committee with the Chamber of Commerce.
I like that. Could I ask a quick question? Is the land use element piece, this is not the right word, but is that a misnomer? Does it? I don't see what I'm doing in there that affects land use. So again, documents get created, but is that even an appropriate?
That's a good question. I mean, yes and no. I mean, there are lots of topics in the land use element that you may not necessarily think that it's specific to land use. There's a lot of implicit things about land use that we don't really think about. So no, I think it is appropriate.
Okay.
But it's a good point. It seems like it may not belong, but it's pretty common. The land use element has a lot of references to a lot of different topics that are interrelated. So that's one thing that makes a general plan complex is all the elements have to flow. In order to flow, you're going to talk about subjects or topics in all different elements.
I guess my point is I don't care whether, from my perspective, the land use element could go away.
Yeah, I see. Now that I actually see that the Economic Development Committee is mentioned twice in this, maybe this one can actually be struck out. And because I think the strategic plan should really be mentioned in the economic development element. That's really where it should be. So I'm okay with striking out implementation measure 14. But I think that the first two should be amended.
I'll make a motion that your suggestion is implemented.
May I make a quick statement? Again, this is just a recommendation. I don't know, so obviously the Chamber of Commerce is not bound by the general plan. So to say that the Chamber of Commerce shall do something, I think would be difficult to enforce. I think it would be better to say something like either the city shall do something and then the city can choose to work with the Chamber of Commerce, or you could say the city shall work with the Chamber of Commerce to do something. That would be more enforceable.
And that's why my light is lit right now, is because I'm reticent to name any specific entity in that verbiage. I think the city has to designate a competent, responsive, and responsible
Yeah.
entity to do that. Whether that's the Chamber of Commerce, then so be it. But if there's a successor agency that comes along, you're not back to square one trying to change the verbiage of this again. I think that, from allowing that language to breathe a little bit by saying a responsible, competent contractor to the city, whatever legalese needs to do that without specifically naming an entity is the better way to go, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah, I agree. So, again, let me rephrase. We're going to strike out from policy 3.6 the first sentence, because that obviously does not apply anymore. So from the city shall to improve the Lompoc economy. Then we're going to say the city shall appoint a proper entity, a proper competent entity, which shall create and update annually a strategic plan, et cetera, et cetera. And then on implementation measure 11, the city should continue to work with the Chamber of Commerce and other appointed proper competent entities and other organizations to develop the economic development strategy, et cetera, et cetera. Is that?
Yeah, we can certainly try that and see what the council says.
Yeah, of course,
and,
this is a
you know,
recommendation, yeah.
I think there's probably information that we don't know this evening regarding, one, does the city council want to continue to do the strategic plan? And then secondly, do they want to assign the chamber, or who do they want to assign? So,
If the intent of the city council is to do away with a strategic plan, then, okay, it's their prerogative. Again, we don't have tonight, we didn't have that information. We thought they were only eliminating the committee, so, but if their intent is to go deeper than that, then they can certainly reject our recommendation, but I think we agree that this is our recommendation, and I guess we'll vote on it.
May I make one more suggestion, just so we can give the exact language that you want to the council? It seems like the intent is for the city to work with the Chamber of Commerce and with other proper and competent organizations. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I would recommend that we add that language to both policy 3.6 and measure 11. So it would say, 3.6 would say the city shall work with the Chamber of Commerce and other proper and competent organizations to create and update, et cetera.
Perfect.
And then measure 11 would say the city should continue to work with the Chamber of Commerce and other proper and competent organizations to develop, et cetera. Is that?
So let me just suggest something along the lines of what Commissioner Braxton suggested. You could leave out the chamber, and the second phrase would cover whoever they wanted to work with.
That's accurate. So that's up to you.
So,
Yeah, I'm fine. Again, it's up to the city to decide.
yeah.
If they want to work with the chamber, they can work with the chamber. If they want to appoint someone else, they can appoint someone else. I think we can make it as general as possible. I think it's better, but as long as the focus on the plan is still there. I mean, again, that's what I think the consensus is here. So
So we're saying we like your words, but you can leave the chamber out and still have,
you can
Yeah.
remove the chamber of commerce.
It's up to you. So I guess that we just want to send specific language. Brian, Mr. Halverson can communicate your intent, but we just want to send specific language. So would you like us to send Chamber of Commerce or scratch that?
scratch that.
Scratch that. Yeah, I think we can scratch that.
okay. We'll go
All
ahead.
right.
And certainly, that shouldn't be anything construed against the chamber.
No.
We don't have a crystal ball to know who it's going to be at some point in the future. And I think that if we leave the language
yeah.
general enough that it's a competent organization that the city appoints to do that, that verbiage covers that.
We just don't want to bind this city to the Chamber of Commerce and vice versa, if they feel like they should go a different direction, so.
Understood.
Okay, so I think is it clear?
I think it's clear, we just need to do a vote, or let's
Yeah.
do the motion and the second and the vote over again.
Okay, someone,
Well, I'll amend my motion to match the latest rendition
Okay.
of what we just discussed.
do we have a second?
Second.
Commissioner Braxton has a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes 4-0. So we have our recommendation, or recommended amendments to the 2030 general plan. Okay, with that, I think we can close item number 2. We go to number 3, although I think we want to table this for the next meeting. Is that correct? The zoning code text amendment addressing permit requirements, general standards for safe parking programs, TA 21-01. Brian?
Yes, that's correct. We are requesting this to be continued to the next Planning Commission hearing, which I believe is April 14th. And we need a little more time. We're working with various staff members, including our city attorney's office. And so if you could continue that to that meeting certain, April 14th, 2021, we'd appreciate that.
Mr. Wright Bushman, do we still have to take open public comments on this and to vote to continue, or can we just?
We can just take a vote to continue to April 14th, and by setting it to a specific date, that means the city doesn't have to renotice it.
Okay, so I'll move that we move, or to continue this item to the next meeting on April 14, 2021. Do you have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a second. Everybody in favor say aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so this item is continued to 14th of April, 2021. All right, with that, we go to new business. Any new business?
No new business.
Thanks, Brian. Open again, oral communication. If there is anyone that wishes to speak about an item that's not on this agenda, again, let me remind you the number. It's 805-875-8201. Is there anyone on the line?
Nobody is holding on the line.
Okay, so we close oral communications. Any written communications?
Only the public comment we had that we received and passed out to you.
The memo?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Okay, then I guess we move to the approval of minutes from January 27th, 2021. I believe Mr. Braxton was not present, of course, to that meeting, so I'm guessing you will abstain from approving. Okay.
I
anyone
move we
wants-
approve them.
All right, any second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, passes 3-0, and Commissioner Braxton abstaining. The minutes from January 27th, 2021 are approved. Any director staff communications?
Yeah, we have some items on the director communications. First, I wanted to let you know that the zoning text amendments that were initiated last year received a first and second reading, and so actually just on March 2nd was the second reading. So those amendments to the zoning code will be effective April 2nd. I want to commend the commission because I think that those items, especially in regards to streamlining permitting requirements for housing, is very, very helpful. The two commissioners that weren't here at the time, just to let you know that smaller developments, 6 or fewer units, will be able to go straight to a building permit as opposed to go through a land use entitlement process, a discretionary process. So I think that will definitely be helpful, and there was other things too to streamline permitting. So I wanted to congratulate you guys on initiating that. That was not initiated by staff, but the Planning Commission. Secondly, regarding an update on the regional housing needs allocation, as many of you know, especially Commissioner Bridge was very involved, the RENA process is almost finished. We have our draft allocation, although it still needs to go to the SBCAG board, and that goes to the board on March 18th, so that's next week. Right now, glad you're sitting down, but our draft allocation number is 2,248 units. Our last allocation was 525. It's a pretty large increase. Of those 2,248 units, the categories that we have to zone for and accommodate are 166 very low, 262 units for low income, moderate income 311, above moderate 1,509, And one of the things that Commissioner Bridge was involved in was kind of championing and also working with city staff to get our numbers for very low decreased, because we have a more very low units in Lompoc as opposed to our surrounding communities. A disproportionate amount is probably the best word to describe that. So our above mod number is pretty big, 1,509. Now, it still has to go to the board for approval. And actually, next week, we're having SBCAG. If you're interested, SBCAG, or the Director of Planning, Michael Becker, is going to do a presentation at that City Council meeting, and just, a quick PowerPoint presentation explaining kind of the process, where we're at to date. There will be an appeal process as well if we disagree with the numbers. So that'll be on March 16th City Council meeting, the same meeting that the General Plan Annual Report will be on as well. So I wanted to give you an update on that. And then lastly is the Bailey Avenue annexation application with LAFCO was supposed to be considered at a study session last week on the 4th. The mayor was prepared to speak, as well as any other staff members, on just encouraging LAFCO to move the application along. We've been working on it for quite a while. But unfortunately, the county planning department was not able to attend that meeting on the 4th. And we thought that in order to have everybody participate, we would agree to continue that item so that all the staff members could be present. We don't unfortunately have a date for that meeting. I'm hoping in the next 1 to 2 months. So stay tuned on that item. It's would help with our housing numbers if we did annex that property, and so we'll keep an eye on that and let you know. Other than that, I think Brian Wright Bushman has one other item that wanted to present.
This is just a reminder, we've discussed this at past meetings. The council has decided to change the process for appointing commissioners. As a result, starting March 16th, all commissioners will need to be appointed by district, which means they'll have to be from the same district that the council member is from who appoints them. The implementation process for that starts by every commissioner of at least all affected commissions being automatically removed basically at midnight on March 15th, which will include all 4 of you. And then starting on at the council meeting on March 16th, the council will each council member will be able to reappoint appointees to all of the affected commissions. I spoke with the city clerk this afternoon, and she has all of your applications on file, so there's nothing further that any of you need to do in order to be eligible for reappointment. So I guess basically stay tuned, and more will be determined in upcoming council meetings.
Thank you. I want to just briefly congratulate the staff and especially the staff especially, and also Commissioner Bridge, who was heavily involved for the arena numbers. This is really a good, a big difference from the previous allocation, and it kind of shows, I think, where we would like Lompoc, we would like to see Lompoc in the future. So thank you all, thank you very much. Is a great result. Of course, still needs to be approved by the board, but let's, it's the gloat still for a little bit. Okay, any commission requests? Commissioner Bridge?
I just wanted to thank everybody. It's been an honor working with you guys. Commissioner Braxton's taking my place. So
Really? Okay.
yeah, so this will be my last meeting, and it has been an honor. And
wow.
carry those arena numbers up. They've positioned you well for LAFCO now, because those are upper numbers, and so the Y should support you. That will help you support the Y, LAFCO, and that was really my intent.
Well, I'll be sad to see you go, Commissioner
yeah, so-
Bridge.
But it was fun while it lasted.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you. All right, I guess, any other commission requests? No? Okay, so I guess.
Thank
we
you for
can-
your service, Steve, and I appreciate the kind words.
Sure. I guess we can move for adjournment to April 14th, 2021 at 6:30 PM. You have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, any second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned to April 14th. Thank you.